Hello and welcome to my dungeon. Today I'm going to take a deeper look at the Quickstart for Coriolis, the Great Dark, the successor to the Great Coriolis, the Third Horizon by Free League. As of the making of this video, the Kickstarter is still running, so if you were on the fences whether to back that Kickstarter or not, hopefully this video can shed some light what the game is all about. If you like this video and like videos like this, there's a lot more where this came from in my channel. Consider liking and subscribing, and let's get into today's topic. Compared to the Great Dark's predecessor, Coriolis, the Third Horizon, the setting is very different. The starkest contrast is in sheer size and variety. While in the Third Horizon you could play in the whole Third Horizon, explore hundreds of planets, space stations, asteroids, moons, from the jungles of Kuan to the deserts of Dabran, or maybe the holy cities in Mira. It was a big and very varied setting. In contrast to that, the Great Dark is a very focused setting. You play as part of a migrant fleet that has fled the Third Horizon like 200 years ago and is now living in an asteroid city, the Ship City. They have discovered a new horizon full of portals and planets, but the portal they have arrived at is dead. And in the system they are, apart from a few asteroids and two gas giants, there is no habitable planet. So they have hunkered down on that single asteroid, hollowed it out, built their space station, their new home, and tried to make it work as best as they could. But they found a sliver of hope. Apparently, there are corridors in space where one can travel much faster than with conventional drives, faster than the speed of light. These corridors lead to different solar systems, different planets, different points of interest, if you so will. Only problem is that the space in these, like, if you will, rivers of space-time is quite turbulent, and you need a really big and sturdy ship to make these voyages. So the best shipwrights of Ship City have banded together and built these great ships. Yeah, they didn't come up with a better name. And with these great ships, they're sending out expeditions to see what is out there and bring back artifacts. It turned out there's quite a lot of stuff out there. Most of it kinda dead and ruined and shrouded in some kind of mist, corruption, of blight that makes exploring these places very dangerous. But nonetheless, with a dire need for resources, new technology and new hope, the adventurers, the men and women of the Explorers Guild, go out there, seek out these ruins of the portal builders, and delve down into the depth and the most blight-stricken parts to uncover ancient secrets and bring back riches in artifacts and scarce resources. You're playing a band of these courageous explorers. Now, as you can tell, this setting is quite a bit smaller than the Third Horizon. You don't have dozens and hundreds of space stations and planets to explore. You just have this city of ships and then like adventure sites to explore. But a limited setting like this is not necessarily a bad thing. It puts the focus on what the characters are actually doing in the immediate environment. For example, the city of ships itself. There's a limited number of city quarters and famous taverns you have to know, and a limited number of important people, factions and guilds that you have to contest with. And after a few sessions of gameplay, you will feel right at home in that city. You're not getting overwhelmed with dozens of factions, sub-factions, and important people that you could all play against each other or accept jobs from. You don't have to decide where you put your home base, what city or town to go to next, because there is only one city or town. It also means whatever the player characters do will have a much bigger impact on the setting and the world as a whole. If they bring back some amazing new technology that makes space travel safer, maybe allows portal jumps, it will change the whole setting. If they bring back a new plant, a new spice, they find a derelict ship and bring that back to build a new great ship, that will have a measurable, visible impact on the setting as a whole, on every character, on the dynamics between the factions, and it is entirely reasonable to see that the characters could rise in the ranks of their own faction, maybe become the guild leader of the Explorers Guild at one point in your campaign. With the Great Dark, it's also very easy to see how you could expand on that setting. Right now, everyone is stuck in the city of ships and you can't really travel anywhere except with the great ships. But if maybe the characters find a way to activate the nearby jump gate, then suddenly you have contact to a second star system to explore, to settle and to exploit. And that way, little by little, you could unlock a whole fourth horizon of connected portals and planets. Imagine the setting like an exploratory sandbox, and at the beginning you only know your starting hex. And as your campaign progresses and your group travels about, more and more of the map becomes known, becomes unlocked, if you will so, until you have a huge sprawling world. And it would be very easy via these slipstream routes or jump gates to add new solar systems to explore. Later on maybe alien factions, maybe another surviving human factions you can then do diplomacy with or start an interstellar war. Potentially the setting can be just as big as the setting is in the third horizon, but you're not getting overwhelmed right at the beginning of your campaign with the endless possibilities. One of the main themes in Coriolis, the third horizon, was religion. There was a reroll mechanic whereupon you would pray to the icons for good luck for a reroll, and then the GM, the dark between the stars, would get more powerful. You could even boost this by praying at a chapel on your ship before going out on an adventure. In contrast, religion doesn't play as explicit a role in the Great Dark. It's not built into the rules, for example. What you have instead to do your rerolls is hope. When you do a reroll, take off your dice that didn't have successes, then you roll again, and every die that shows a 1 will give you 1 point of damage on your hope pool. And once that hope pool is diminished, you obviously can't do rerolls anymore, but you're also hopeless and broken and just can't go on until you have recovered some kind of hope. And hope can come in the form of encouragement from your friends. Also, it can come from religious practices. If the characters hold a personal belief, it can be a source of hope. So it's more up to the individual characters than to the system as a whole to decide how religious they are and what form that religion will take. Interestingly, another main theme of the Great Dark is birds. The explorers have found this species or several species of strange birds that somehow seem to be connected to the blight, but they are fighting it. And these birds are more than just pets for the party. You can use them to scout ahead, to look through their eyes and see the blight and the dangers ahead. You can also give them special abilities that may give you a bonus in combat or help you regain hope. One of those abilities might be to cleanse an area from blight, so it is safe to rest there and recover. So even in our world, birds are a symbol of hope, and in the Great Dark, they are a source of hope and an integral part of your group of explorers. Now, the main type of adventure, the main draw, is the exploration of dark, unknown places, alien places, ancient places, mostly underground. Think a bit like exploring the Davokar and the ruins of Simba and Simbarum, or the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark when Indiana Jones is going into the ancient overgrown ruins. Or what the artwork of the Great Dark actually reminds me most of is Disney's Atlantis, especially the beginning when the group of explorers is traveling through the underworld to reach the lost city. Mostly because of that guy with the mustache, I suspect. In a way, it is good old-fashioned dungeon crawling, but in space. For this type of exploration and survival game, the Mutant Year Zero engine that Coriolis is based on has some great die rolling mechanics. Here, let me show you the core mechanics of the game with the example of one of the pre-generated characters. Also notice printer-friendly pre-generated characters. That was something that was really missing in the last Coriolis game. Your core mechanic is if you need to do any kind of check, you take number of d6 according to your attribute. So 3 for strength or 6 for agility. And you roll these and only 6s are a success. Then you can decide to push the roll if you have no 6s or you want more 6s and take everything that was not a success and roll that. But now every one you roll, boy, what a terrible roll this was. Every one you roll will cost you 1 point of hope. Now, additional to that, you have the talent system. This is the skill system from other Mutant Year Zero games and the talent system rolled into one. So most of these talents will just give you a few extra die for a roll. For example, German here has Ruin Delver. You get +2 dice to all rolls when leading the way through a ruin or vault. Or Acrobat, you get +1 die to agility for jumping, climbing, running and similar actions. But there are also talents that don't just give you extra die, that are more special. For example, Survivor. Roll strength anytime you suffer damage. This does not count as an action and the roll can't be pushed. For every 6 you roll, 1 point of damage is eliminated. This works like extra second armor. This is a very powerful ability. Now, I only see one real advantage of rolling talents and skills into one, and that is that your character sheet is a little bit less cluttered. So you don't have an extra list of skills and maybe skills you don't even spend any points in on the left side of your character sheet. Other than that, not a huge difference, not a huge advantage either way. Additionally to your talents, you can get bonus die from your gear. For example, for a climbing check, I can get 2 extra die from hammer and ice pick. And now if I push this roll, not only do I suffer any loss of hope for the ones that my regular die might roll, but also if my equipment die shows a 1, that equipment breaks down and the bonus is reduced by 1 to a +1 until repaired, or to a +0. The equipment is broken and useless until repaired. But repairing equipment takes time, and during a delve, time means using up supply. To make the management of all your different supplies you might need during a delve, food, water, oxygen, batteries, and so forth and so on. To make that a bit easier, they're all rolled into one resource called supply that you will be using up all the time. Use it up when moving forth. Use it up when you're spending time to search a room. You're using it up when doing strenuous activity like widening a corridor or combat. And if this runs out every time you would use up some supply, instead you have to roll on the no supply table, and that is no fun. It will give you hope, health and heart damage pretty quickly, and eventually you will be stranded and can't do anything. So watch out for your supply. As a rule of thumb, every free gear slot you have at the beginning of your adventure, fill it up with supply. Another survival mechanic, or more like a wound mechanic, are the conditions you can suffer. For each attribute, there's a condition your character can suffer from, like exhausted for strength or dazed for agility. That means if you're dazed and you have to roll an agility check, you take 2 dice less. So just 4 instead of 6. And you can only recover from these conditions when resting. And again, resting takes time, takes supply. So you will have to decide how many of these conditions you can still function with before it is time to take the rest. One of these resources are your 3 pools of hit points and stuff. One of them is good old health. If you get wounded in combat or during exploration, you lose health, and if it's really bad, you also get critical hits. Then you've got hope. Hope is mainly used up for rerolls, but you can also lose hope if you see something horrible or if you go through a really stressful situation. And finally, there's heart, which is a bit like how hardy are you. It's how resistant you are to the blight and this alien corrupting influence you will find in the ruins. If your heart runs out and you are broken, your character will experience strange blight mutations that will be hard to recover from, but might even give you a bonus for the exploration or might become a big hindrance. Generally, it's something you are trying to avoid. Once again, to recover these 3 pools, your characters need to rest and recover hope, treat their wounds, cleanse themselves from the blights, and that takes time, and in a delve, that takes supplies. Now, in this quick start, and I suppose in the upcoming core rules, delving and the delving mechanics are the main attraction. How to get into these portal builder ruins, how to delve deep and long and uncover these secrets. The first part of any delve is the preparation. Gather as much information about the site beforehand as you can, and then pack the proper equipment that you might need and as many supplies as you will need. Then you will scout ahead using a deep terrain scanner and your trusty bird companion to get an overview of where the delve will lead you and how much blight and obstacles you can expect down there. And then you start diving itself through a long series of rolls on agility, perception, and so on. You slowly make progress downwards until you find something interesting, and you get a lot of random events, random encounters along the way, which will in turn trigger more skill checks, and all of that will mostly eat up time and supplies. As the system is right now, for my taste, it's a bit too tedious. Too much die rolling and just eating up of resources during the delve until the group reaches the real points of interest that resemble a classical dungeon that we know and love from fantasy, with monsters and traps and environmental obstacles and puzzles to solve for your group. Now, I've already wrote a post about that in the Kickstarter campaign, And hopefully, until the full game comes out, Free League will work a bit on these mechanics, tweak them a bit, so that there's more player choice involved and we get more interesting and varied random encounters and much less die rolling. At least that's what I hope for. Editing, Seba here. Free League has already answered to my comment and confirmed that the mechanics are just dumbed down a bit for the Quickstart. They will be more complex and delves will have several branching paths in the full game. Now, this Quickstart comes with a very short adventure. The Stellar Engine, if I remember right. It introduces the core setting and the core mechanics of the game, but there are 2 points where I think I would run it differently than it is written. Spoiler warning, by the way. If you are a player and would like to play this, send this video to your GM and stop watching right here. So for the Quickstart adventure, during the delve, there's a rival group of delvers that is following the characters, waiting for a good opportunity to ambush them, sneak up on them, strike, and rob them of the main artifact that is the goal of the dive. There are 2 points before that the characters can get suspicious that they are being pursued. The first is during the preparation. They will notice that their equipment has been tampered with. Someone was trying to sabotage them. The second is one of the random events that can happen. The characters see lights above them, hinting at another group of divers coming up. Now at that point, the players might realize that they are being followed and might want to take some preemptive action, like luring the other band into an ambush themselves. And if they come up with a good plan and a good location, I would totally allow that. But if they ignore all the warnings or just don't see them, then it's okay for the group to get ambushed themselves. The second thing I would change about the adventure is the ending. At the ending, the group or the rival group gets the artifact, and that is part of a gravitic engine that once kept the whole asteroid, the whole moon, in orbit around the gas giant. Now, the sphere that they are taking is only a very small part of the engine, but I think there should be some consequences for taking that out. I'd say destabilize the orbit of the moon. It might start to tumble, there might be earthquakes, it might slowly lose altitude or gravity, and make it pretty clear that the characters either have to put that sphere back into the engine, get the engine running again, or get off the moon as fast as possible. And that whole thing should add a bit more drama and action, the grand finale to the end of this adventure. Now, for the Kickstarter as a whole, I am cautiously optimistic. We only have a glimpse into this setting. There's a lot we don't know yet. I assume there will be some sort of base building or ship building and space combat, and that hasn't even been hinted at in the quick start. Don't know the full scope of the talents and what they will bring. Maybe mystical abilities, psionic powers. I have no idea how the official campaign will expand the Dead Horizon. And as I said, it would be easy enough to build onto this core setting in any direction. But Free League usually delivers with their games, and they make a great setting, and by now the Mutant Year Zero engine is well proven and worked with. And also all of these Mutant Year Zero games like Alien, Mutant Year Zero itself, Vaesen, The Forbidden Land or the old version of Coriolis are somehow compatible with each other, so can interchange monsters, equipment, mystical abilities, spells, and special rules throughout all of these games with very little hassle. Together with the open license this Free League has promised for Coriolis the Great Dark, I'm optimistic that there will be enough house rules, rule additions, additional adventures, adventure sites, whole planets and horizons made by the community to keep the game going. And the posting of this video, the Kickstarter is still going for like 10 days. And I hope with this video I was able to shed some light on this new game and help you with the decision whether to back this Kickstarter or pass on it. Anyhow, that's all I have for today. I wish thee safe travels, dreamers, until we shall meet again.